how refreshing it is to not have your mind constantly going. And we live in a society where we're full of distractions, scrolling social media, which I'm still bad at, but going to start putting some restrictions on that, inspired by my friend Kay He. Hello and welcome to another episode of Beyond the Notes. Hope you had a great holiday weekend. Because of the holiday weekend, getting this out a little bit later, but I did not want to miss the episode and a chance to break down the notes from May 20th to the 26th. So let me move my iPad so I can see a little bit better, and let's get into these notes, breaking them down and kind of giving you some more insight behind why I wrote them, what I was thinking, and what thoughts have come from them since writing. The first one on the 20th, I called Shameless, Self-Promotional Saturday. I have a hard time really trying to direct the content that I create towards me. Obviously, I enjoy what it is that I do. I put this content out all the time. And in the long run, I hope that this feeds my business and my business is able to grow in different ways. And I'm able to monetize this business in the future, being fully transparent. Right now, it's all about finding my voice, learning more about the authentic life, learning more about connecting spirit, mind, body, and money, and all these things that I'm, focusing on, and then finding ways for those that resonates with to bring opportunities to help people do that themselves. So I've done a lot of work already that I don't talk about a lot. So I real quickly just ran through the different things that I've been doing. So we've got the daily notes. Obviously, you know that. You've been reading them. You're listening to Beyond the Notes. But I also have a lot of other things that I've done, including the podcast. So you might be listening to this on the podcast, On Our Pursuit podcast, which consists of interviews and then the Beyond the Notes, the YouTube channel that's just at my name, at Justin Castelli. RLS Wealth has evolved to have an offering called Life Design Plus, which is designed for helping people go deeper into their financial planning, connecting spirit, mind, body, and money, and bringing their authentic life to life rather than it just being an idea. Part of that is just helping them figure out what they really want, why are they unhappy, a lot of kind of coaching and life design, and then bringing the numbers to that. Also, within the ecosystem of things I've created, there's the brand Pursuit, which has kind of gone and fallen back to the background if I spent more time growing my voice as the spirit, mind, body, and money guy. But Pursuit is still there, and that is where everything that is not going to be advisory, RLS Wealth is where the advisory help will come when it comes to spirit, mind, body, money, in the authentic life. Anything that doesn't fall under the world of me being a financial advisor will live over at Pursuit. That's prst.co. I stripped out all the vowels, but over the all the vowels. But over there, I have the daily planner, the content manuscript, a 5-day guided meditation, and more to come. I'm not going to tease those quite yet because I don't know when they're going to drop, depending on how the summer goes, but there's going to be more there. So basically what I want to be able to do through all of my content is I want to have different ways to help different people, no matter where they are, connect their spirit, mind, body, money, and pursue their authentic life. No matter where they are on their own personal journey, no matter where they are financially, I want to have ways to be able to help you if this resonates and you want to find that authentic life. So a lot of the content is driving towards there. So again, you've got the daily notes, you've got the podcast, you've got YouTube, you've got RLS Wealth's Life Design Plus, and you have Pursuit offering non-financial advice ways to help people connect those areas and find their authentic life. So just want to make sure that you're not missing out on any of that. Maybe you're only consuming it in one area and you're missing out. And obviously I'm on social media, Twitter, LinkedIn, and have an Instagram account that is designed for allowing me to share spirit, mind, body, and money concepts, and not just my personal stuff. So I actually have 2 Instagrams, a personal one, which is private, and then the professional one, if you will, that is where I put all of my professional stuff. And I wanted to do that because I enjoy Instagram from a standpoint of taking pictures of the boys and sharing my life and documenting my life to go back. It's a lot of fun to go back over time and see those memories. But I didn't want to water that down or interrupt it with the daily notes and other things that I'm creating. And I didn't want to have to think too much about it of how many posts have I done in a row that are business versus how many posts have I done that are personal. So I decided to separate those out. So that was the first post, just going through all of the things that I've been doing lately to explore the concept of the authentic life, explore how to connect spirit, mind, body, and money personally, but then also share and hopefully inspire and encourage you to do so as well. So that was the first one, May 21st. The title of that one is Practicing Being Alone, and it's a different type of alone that I wanted to talk about on here. and this is something that's taken me a while to understand and be able to do. It all stems back from my practice of meditation and being able to slow my mind down and not be as busy in my mind. For a long time, I was busy because I was doing a lot, running around different businesses, and I've simplified my life. And in doing so, I've freed up my mind from not having to juggle so many balls. I'm still, doing multiple things and always will, because that's who I authentically am, but not as many things as I was, and not as big of responsibilities in those other things as well. But the point of being alone was I have noticed myself doing things. The example I give the most is listening to music, listening to podcasts, having something on YouTube while doing just some tasks around the house, cooking dinner, writing my daily notes, walking to the coffee shop, going for a walk. Those are all things that I would usually throw AirPods in and listen to some type of music. I love music. But lately, I've been doing those tasks, walking to go pick Leo up from school before school was out, doing that with no distractions. And after a little bit of time of not having something in my ear stimulating my mind, I realized that my mind is really, really still. Like I'm not even really having thoughts come in. And when they do, if I don't want to think about them, my practice of meditation has taught me to notice it, note it. Hey, I see that thought, and then push it out. And if it's important, I'll come back to it later on. But if not, if it's just a distraction. And I cannot tell you how refreshing it is to not have your mind constantly going. And we live in a society where we're full of distractions. Scrolling social media, which I'm still bad at, but going to start putting some restrictions on that, inspired by my friend Kay He. So social media, the news, other people's gossip, all these things are meant to distract us, where we should just find time to be alone with our thoughts. So being alone with your thoughts probably means you're alone physically. But there are times I'm cooking dinner and the family's on the main floor with me, or my wife is in the kitchen, Angie's in the kitchen with me, and we're not necessarily talking, but I don't have anything in distracting me, and I still find that still mind. So I can find that still mind when I'm around other people. So you don't have to necessarily go into seclusion, but just be alone with your mind, be alone with your thoughts. And sometimes a thought will come in that needs to be, attention given to. But a lot of times it's just distraction. And it's very exhausting to have your mind always going, which is part of what contributed to my burnout in the past. But having that fresh mind makes it ready to go when it's time to create or time to think of something. So practice being alone. Find ways to do things that you would be stimulating your mind normally without doing it. Go for a walk without headphones. Go for a run without headphones. Work out without headphones. Cook without headphones. Garden. You just give yourself the opportunity to do these tasks, but not try to distract yourself, and enjoy the task. Be present in the moment, and then see if your mind quiets. And the more you do that, the better you are at it. And it is something that I try to do more and more because it's such a good feeling. So give it a try. Practice being alone in your mind. All right, the 22nd, nothing is good or bad. And there's a great quote from Hamlet. Shakespeare wrote, there's nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. And a short post, but I just wanted to remind you that your mind is so powerful, and what you perceive to be will become your reality. So you have an opportunity to choose when something happens to or through you, depending on how you view your experience in this world. When something happens to you, it's neither good or bad until you think about it. So the action that happens, the getting laid off, the breakup, whatever it might be, winning the lottery, whatever it might happen, it doesn't always have to be what we would normally perceive to be bad. Whatever it might be that happens, it is nothing. It is neutral until your mind determines what it is. And yes, some of those things it is bad. There's no way around it. But in that bad, there can be good. There's silver linings looking for those things. So I love that quote. I forget where I saw it, but it really made me think about how everything that happens, it's up to me to determine, how do I receive it? How do I move forward with it? Is it something I'm going to allow to weigh me down, or is it something that I'm going to process and get through, feel the emotions I need to feel, and then process it in the most positive way possible to get going. Again, energy, what we put out is what we attract. So nothing is either good or bad until you think it is good or bad. Very, very tough thing to do, but I think it's a very powerful concept to think about and try to put into practice when something happens to you. Find the opportunity to determine it to be what you need it to be in that moment. Like I said, it was a shorter one, but it was a great quote. All right, the 23rd, happy people. Another quote. These quotes are just finding me in the most random places as well. A happy man or woman is too satisfied with the present to dwell too much on the future. Albert Einstein. Now, this is a tough one because, we really know that the only time that exists is right now, the present. The past has already happened. It's a memory, and we don't even know if it really happened the way that we remembered it. The future has yet to happen. So we want to spend as much time as possible in the present moment. But also, you can't help but think about the future when you think about your planning and where you want to go to determine, what you're going to be doing today. So it's one of those things, but I think the takeaway from that for me is that while it is good to think about in the future, you got to know where you want to go. I know what my authentic life in the future looks like. Don't spend too much time dwelling and thinking about that. Go back to the present moment and enjoy what is going on now. And if you're enjoying this moment, then you're too busy and too happy to think too much about the future. And I've got to believe if you have a bunch of micro happy moments that you're focusing on the present back to back to back to back to back, that it will lead you in a good direction for the future. So, that was a shorter one. I gave a talk that day. That was a lot of fun that I wrote about and shared about. And I'll probably document it once that video is out, talk more about it. But a happy man or woman is too satisfied with the present to dwell too much on the future. And too much on the future. As I read that one more time, Einstein's not telling us not to think about the future. Just don't think too much about it. Enjoy the moment, and you won't have to think too much about the future. All right. The 24th. Avoiding despair. And there was a quote that was at the end by Soren Kierkegaard, and I have no idea if that's the right way to say it, but the most common form of despair is not being who you are. And that brought me to another quote that we've talked about before from Bronnie Ware in The 5 Regrets of the Dying. One of the regrets, the first one that she lists, was, I wish I'd had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the life others expected of me. And so much of this authentic life concept is living authentically, being who you are supposed to be, being who you want to be, not being who you're told you're supposed to be. Whether that is influence from parents, society, whatever it might be, a lot of us have lived, are live, will live lives that are not authentic to who we are, which ultimately brings despair, ultimately ends up being something that we will regret at the end of our life. And it doesn't always mean that it's easy, but I think you owe it to yourself to strive to be your authentic self. Live the life that you're supposed to live. And that's where the connection of mind, body, and spirit, mind, and body come into play, helping you figure out what that is. And then the last part is the money. I know so many times we want to jump to, well, I can't live that life because I can't afford it. I don't know how I'm going to make the money work. Yes, the money and the financial side is important, but it's not the most important, because when you figure those things out, you can begin to rearrange your financials to allow that life. You can plan for what do you need to do to make that life a reality, and then build a plan to get there. Once you uncover your authentic life, it doesn't mean you're going to immediately start living it. It might take some work and some planning to get there, but at least you know where you're going. You're going to be in the life that's meant for you, and it makes the work, it makes the sacrifice, makes the opportunity cost worth it, because that is so important. So I want you to avoid despair. I want you to live your authentic life, whatever that might look like, that is judged by you, not by anybody else. So avoiding despair, and that tied into my speech that I gave that day when I was in Phoenix, about using a personal brand through work to allow you to be authentic, not only in your personal life, but in your professional life. So I'll tease that a little bit, but it tied into authenticity. And I know authenticity is a buzzword, but it's really, really important. It's important for you, but also people pick up on those who live their true selves and who are really who they're supposed to be. And that's why it's such a buzzword and people want to strive for it. Is we know it's important. We know we want to be that. And when we find people who are living their authentic life, we're drawn to them because we hope that we can learn from them to be able to do that. It is hard, but it's also not complicated, and it's totally worth it. So avoiding despair by living your authentic life, avoiding one of the top 5 regrets of the dying by being true to yourself, not true to what other people want you to be. All right, the 25th, time flies. This was a last day of school writing, and it just was crazy to think about how all the boys are ending their last year in their current school, and it's now over. Silas will be going from pre-K to kindergarten at the elementary school. Leo is leaving the elementary to go to the intermediate. Roman is leaving the intermediate to go to the middle. And our neighbors, who are like extended family, they're twins. Their twins are leaving middle to go to high school. So it is, or junior high, the junior high to go to the high school. And Roman's going into junior high, which is what middle school was back when I was there. We didn't separate intermediate and junior. So Roman is leaving intermediate to go to junior. Our neighbor twins are leaving junior to go to high school. And it's just crazy to think about how quickly it's gone by. Roman will be 13 next month. Just a few more summers left before he's preparing for college. And we all know time flies. And it was just kind of one of those things like, man, it's another summer is here. I can't believe it's already June. It seems like not that long ago we were scrambling to make up for our Cancun trip and heading down to Marco Island to end the year, and we're already halfway through the year. So not to dwell on it and make it a sad, more of a reminder to enjoy the present moment, as we talked about before, because it goes by so quickly. And the thing is, I know next year and the rest of this year is going to go by faster than the previous. So time flies, just a reminder to make time for the present, make time for the loved ones, and doing the things today, because it's going to go by really quick. And finally, probably one of the most impactful quotes, and not even from a personal experience, but just reading it and envisioning it, it made me actually say damn out loud to myself. So Christine Kane has a quote that says, "Sometimes when you're in a dark place, you think you've been buried, but you've actually been planted." And I think that is such a powerful quote, because so many people are unhappy. You hear about all of the depression and the suicide and self-harm that's going on in today's society. It's been a little bit of normalized. A lot of people are feeling dark and feeling as if they've been buried. But being buried and being planted is in the exact same spot with two different outcomes. And if we go back to nothing is good or bad in Hamlet, okay, you're in the dark. You get to choose if you're being buried or if you're being planted. And even if the circumstances that have made you feel like you're buried, you get to determine if the future is you actually have been planted. I think it's such a powerful visual, because it's both dark. One ends in despair, one ends in decay, one ends in doom. The other is growth, it's beauty, it's opportunity, it's fresh start, it's new beginnings, and they're starting off in the same spot. And it's all controlled by your perception of how you view yourself. We talk about half empty, half full. Are you buried or are you planted? You're in the same spot. You get to choose going forward. So I just really love that quote. And I know a lot of people feel dark right now. And when I think about pursuing the authentic life, getting on that path that's meant for you, maybe some of the darkness that people are living under is because they're not living their authentic life. And if you can find that by connecting spirit, mind, and body, bring money to it when it needs to be, then maybe you shift your mindset from, all right, I found where I'm supposed to be. I have the confidence and the courage to live it and embrace it. Now I have been planted. Now it's time for me to grow in this new path and leave the old one behind. But I really, really love that quote, and I thought it was really powerful. All right, so that is it for last week, the 20th through the 26th. We'll be back on regular schedule this Friday, back in the office. Summer schedule's going on, but I wanted to make sure I got this out so I could hit all the ones from last week and give you some more insight to what was going on beyond the notes. So with that, I hope you enjoyed it. Leave a comment below about any of these notes that spoke to you. What was it that they said? And as always, I want to thank you for joining me on my pursuit. It's an honor to be a part of yours, and let's keep pursuing.